Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Westy with Westy Invests, and today we're going to be going over the results of the last 3.5 years of me investing and go over the things that I've learned. So I first started investing back in 2020, but it really started to take it seriously mid 21. I began to max out my Roth IRA in 21, and then I didn't max it out that year, but I maxed it out in 2022, 2023, and then I have maxed it out for this year in 2024. I really got my ideas for trading from the trading fraternity on YouTube, and he just really hammers in the long-term portfolio, and that's kind of what I tried to embrace. And I bought companies that I personally used and companies I believed in, and I've kind of transitioned away from that a little bit to where I'm more so investing in just quality companies that I think are going to be around for the next 20 or 30, 40 years, if not indefinitely. And also, in the last 6 months, I've kind of gone to a hybrid between growth and dividend stocks just to have some dividend income. And then potentially, when I get to a certain amount of dividend income, switch away from that and turn off drip and have that additional cash and be able to purchase whatever stocks or ETFs I personally want the money going into at the time. So, my 3 year results, I maxed out my Roth for the past 3 years, like I said, and the Roth max contribution does change from year to year. So the first time I maxed it out, it was $6,000, then it was $6,500, and then $7,000 this year. And then I partially filled out my Roth in 2021. And so the total contributions that I had made to my Roth is about $22,000. And if we go over to my Roth IRA here, you can see it's sitting at about $27,000. So that's up $8,000 from that number. That's inaccurate. I don't know why it's pulling through the wrong number, but I've invested about 22,000. So I'm up about $5,000 in my Roth IRA. Now, it's nowhere close to where the market is, and that is because I've made several mistakes along the way. When I first started putting money into my Roth, I thought that I could beat the market by day trading and trading options, and so obviously that did not work, and that has absolutely crushed my overall gains. And it's a little sad to see, but I completely understand that that's part of the process. You have to be beaten down to learn your lesson occasionally. And unfortunately, that is how I had to learn. So now I'm working on maxing out my tax, or not maxing out, but really building and filling out my taxable account just because I don't have any tax deferred options at this point. And I'm able to put in about $800 a month because I give myself $400 to invest from every paycheck. And now that my Roth IRA is maxed out, I can just keep throwing money into here and trying to make it grow as much as possible. And as I make my investments, there are a few things that I'm really trying to keep in mind, and it's the four main things that I learned over the last 3.5 years. And the first one is it is very unlikely that I'm going to beat the market, especially if I'm day trading, if I'm trading options. It's going to be incredibly difficult just because the prices are incredibly volatile, and even the best of the best cannot actually beat the market. So it's just going to be my buy and hold strategy of buying either the S&P 500, any of their ETFs such as SPLG or VOO, or if I'm trying to accumulate more of a dividend ETF, I'd be buying SCHD. And there are some other companies that I do believe in that I think are solid purchases, but I'm really going to be focusing on just building solid positions and not trying to outperform the market, but just buy quality companies that either pay dividends or just hammer those ETFs. The second thing that I learned is just being consistent. That is the best way to see the growth over time. And by that, it's just continuously adding money to the account and building positions, because if you just let it sit there, over time it will increase. But if you continue to dollar cost average into all the positions, eventually you're going to keep seeing larger and larger gains as your contributions and dividends and overall appreciation of the stock price just snowball over each other. The next thing that I think is probably my biggest thing that I really need to be working on is having a goal. It is so important once my Roth IRA had been maxed out for the previous years, I didn't have any other investing goals and I just stopped completely. I didn't put any money in a taxable account. And if I did, it was very little. I just didn't have any sense of direction. So it was kind of like, okay, cool. I maxed out my Roth and I'm going to go spend my money on whatever I want. And that's just kind of really going against the whole being consistent. Because if I max my Roth out in August, like I did this year, then I have half of the year that I'm not actually investing and dollar cost averaging into all my positions. And then the last thing is do your own research before you invest into anything. The worst thing you can do is blindly follow someone who's making speculative plays, because I've fallen into that and got burned a little bit just because I blindly followed somebody who thought that they knew more than everybody else. And I kind of, being a novice, I kind of just went with it and threw some money in and ended up getting burned. So that is definitely something to keep in mind. Just do your own research, make sure that you're holding on to companies that you believe in, and you should be doing okay, or just hold on to ETFs. So the overall result is I have roughly invested about $26,000. If you make the adjustment for this being slightly off for my Roth, I've invested about $27,000, and that means I'm up about 9,000, or adjusted about 7,500. And I think that's really encouraging, just because if I would have just put that money into a savings account, it effectively would go nowhere. Besides the past couple of years, interest rates have been slightly elevated, but if it was sitting in a Wells Fargo account, it would be doing absolutely nothing. And one of the coolest things about this account so far is, as I have tried to make a slight shift into dividend stocks, you can see that in the next year I'm expected to make $864, which comes out to $72 a month, or $2.37 a day. Now, it is a pretty small amount on the daily portion, and it's only about 2 hours worth of work on the monthly portion. But those are 2 hours that in the future I just get back into my day. I don't have to really worry about anything, and the dividend income will just keep on coming in. And for 2024, so this year, I'm expected to make about $80 less than in the next 24 months, and that is $783. But again, just showing the overall consistency of how my portfolio has been able to grow. And now I have passive income versus just spending that money whenever it came into my bank account. This is kind of a hopefully a motivational piece for some people, just to kind of see that if you just put your head down and are constantly buying quality companies or quality ETFs, you are going to end up making some sort of appreciation or value based on where you started and where you end if you are consistent in the long run, because over time the markets do typically appreciate, even though there are ups and downs in the market. But I hope that this was able to inspire somebody, or hopefully get them on the right path, just by seeing that over time, even though you're not investing tons of money, that you're able to see some level of growth. And if you're wondering what my plan is in the future, and it is simply just to continue to max out my Roth IRA each year and invest as much as possible to reach $100,000 across all my investments as soon as possible, just to take advantage of the snowball effect. And then I want to have process oriented and dollar amount oriented goals, just because that really helps me stay on track. So if I want to have my process oriented goal, which is investing $400 every 2 weeks, and then a dollar amount goal of hitting $10,000 in my taxable account by the end of the year. And then if anything comes up throughout the year, I can always adjust those, but having that goal is super important. And having a goal like $100,000, which is $65,000 away, is not necessarily attainable and can be discouraging. So $40,000 is my next milestone, and then 50, 60, 70,000. But still having that $100,000 milestone in the picture, it helps just kind of keep me on track, knowing that if I stay consistent over the next 2 or 3 years, I will definitely hit that mark. But I appreciate all of you who made it all the way through the video. I hope this was encouraging and inspires you to continue to work on your investing, your consistency, your strategy, and everything like that. But I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Take care. Bye bye.